Hey, what's up, people? Piz out here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the film Prom Night. This is actually going to be a part movie review and a part Blu-ray review. And I have to give kudos to my buddy B Jr. from Endurance Productions because he recently did a Blu-ray overview for the Synapse Films release of Prom Night on Blu-ray. And he reminded me that this release existed. Now, Synapse Films released this several months ago. I put it on my to-do list or my to-buy list, and it just kind of got lost in the shuffle. And honestly, I kind of just forgot that this existed. So kudos to you, B Jr., for reminding me that this existed. I ran out. I bought it while it was still fresh in my mind, and I'm glad that I did. I've had several people over the years request that I do a review of Prom Night and have, shared with me how much the film means to them. And I've balked at the idea really up to this point because Prom Night is just one of those horror films that if you're a horror fan, particularly if you're a horror fan kind of my generation, you know Prom Night, you've seen Prom Night, you have an opinion of Prom Night. My opinion of it is probably not going to sway you one way or the other. I'm not going to be able to add really any new insight into the film, but I'll talk about it anyway because it's Prom Night. It's Prom Night. Yeah, Prom Night was part of that early 80s, glut of slasher movies that came out following Halloween and Friday the 13th. Interesting little note on the making of documentary on this Blu-ray. The director Paul Lynch talks about he wanted to do a horror film. He took his idea to do a horror film to Irwin Yablans, of all people, who was the producer of Halloween, and he told him the idea and the title, and Irwin Yablans was like, well, can you set it on a holiday? And so Paul Lynch eventually settled on Prom Night, an event instead of a holiday, and actually took the project to another producer instead of Irwin Yablans and actually got the film made. But anyway, yeah, so because most people know about Prom Night, really doing a proper plot synopsis is kind of a waste of my time. All you need to know is that it's Prom Night in Hamilton High, and you've got big feathered hair, wacky looking clothes, awful disco music, and an axe-wielding maniac on the loose picking people off one by one. And that is Prom Night. And Prom Night is a significant film, I think, for several reasons. Number one, of course, you've got Jamie Lee Curtis in it. This was her second horror film after Halloween, of course, and she was, the Scream Queen. So, and this just further, cemented her as the Scream Queen. Prom Night really, at its heart, even though it gets lumped in with the slasher genre, and it's got a lot of slasher elements, Prom Night is really a murder mystery thriller with some police procedural elements in it. It's one of those horror films where most people today, particularly I think people today, the movie-going audience of today, would probably say, well, in the first hour, nothing happens. It's boring. The first hour is just boring. There's nothing that happens in the first hour. Because the first hour of this film is really about creating a mood, building tension, fleshing out characters, establishing red herrings, establishing, that this is a murder mystery film. And Prom Night does a really good job of that. You've got the creepy sort of janitor guy at the high school who's just the obvious red herring. You've got, the mother who's Jamie Lee Curtis's character's mother, who's dealing with, still dealing with the, this loss that she had of one of her daughters when she was very young. You've got Leslie Nielsen in the film as the principal, and of course in a lot of these movies, the principal turns out to be, doesn't matter how normal he is, the principal turns out to be the killer. So you've got a lot of red herrings in the movie. You've got a really strong cast in the movie. The movie does a really good job of fleshing out who the characters are. And I've always had kind of a fascination with stories of, a past evil, a past evil committed that, you know, rears its ugly head many, many years later, or even, you know, a story like, you know, the sins of the father, you know, come back to visit the son, you know, some sort of evil deed that you committed, you know, years and years and years ago, is now coming back around to haunt you. That's kind of what Prom Night is. Prom Night is also, at its core, kind of a revenge movie. And that is why a lot of people have such a strong reaction to this movie. And in the messages that I'd received asking me to review Prom Night, you know, a couple of those people went into detail, particularly pertaining to the ending of the film and how sympathetic the killer is. And I was actually friends with a guy many, many years ago, internet friends with a fellow horror fan. Not that internet friends aren't real friends, but you see what I'm saying. So when I say I talked to him, it was mostly typing. But he had the same reaction to Prom Night. He had a very, very deep, impactful, emotional reaction to Prom Night, particularly the end. He even confided in me that, you know, he shed a tear first time watching Prom Night, and it got to the end. It had that kind of an impact on him, that ending. And, you know, that's an ending that has impacted a lot of people, particularly. And, you know, it's the sympathetic killer. And, you know, that's a very good scene at the end of the film. And you do feel for the killer. You've just watched the killer wipe out a handful of people, yet you do feel sympathetic toward him. Now, did it hit me on that deep, impactful, emotional level? No, not necessarily, but that doesn't mean that it's not a powerful, effective, you know, moment, because it is. It's just a solid movie, really all around, I think. And, you know, like I said, it's one of those that I think if you showed it to the modern horror audience, the first thing out of their mouth would be, this is boring. You know, 15 minutes into the movie, they'd go, this is boring, because nobody, where's the killer, where there's no murder, somebody's making obscene phone calls, you know what I mean? I don't care about any of this, and these people, they have weird hair, and they're wearing weird clothes, and what's this crazy music, this disco, They would stop the film after 15 minutes, which is sad because, you know, a lot of movies today don't take the time to build characters, to build tension. You know, we understand that something awful is going to happen in this movie, and, you know, the tension is in the build up to that, waiting for that to happen. And the sequences that happen at the prom, the stock and slash sequences that happen at the prom, are pretty well done. It's overall a really well-made slasher movie, whatever you want to call it, thriller, murder mystery thriller, whatever you want to call it. It's really well made. It's really well done. It's really well acted. There's a reason that so many people love this film, because it's pretty darn good. It's a pretty solid slasher movie, bottom line. As for the Blu-ray, I've got to say, for anybody who grew up with the VHS and the cheapy DVDs for Prom Night, this Blu-ray is a revelation. And I know I know Synapse took its sweet time, you know, really, you know, trying to, you know, make the picture quality in this film as top notch as they possibly could. And I think they did an excellent job. The sequences that happen at the prom, where the killer's chasing the girl through the hallways and she ends up in like the auto shop class, those in the VHS and the DVD versions are so friggin' dark you can't tell what is going on in them. You know, here it's lightened up, it's bright, and it's still dark, but you can tell what's going on. The movie looks crisp, it looks clean in a lot of places. Really spectacular picture quality on this Blu-ray. Spectacular. The audio quality as well, absolutely top-notch. Great audio quality on here as well. As far as the special features are concerned, we've got about a 40-minute making of featurette. As I said, they talked to Paul Lynch about making the film. He went to Charles B. Pierce, who did The Legend of Boggy Creek, and of course the classic Talent Dreaded Sundown, to help him kind of, come up with a marketing campaign for his horror film that at the time wasn't named Prom Night. Then he took the idea to Erwin Yablans, who wanted to make another, holiday themed horror movie, so which turned into Prom Night. He talks about casting Jamie Lee Curtis. He talks about, working with Leslie Nielsen. Very nice interview with him. They also talk to many, many members of the cast and crew, and they talk about shooting the film. They talk about working with Leslie Nielsen, who apparently had some sort of fart machine on the set. So even, this is a serious movie, and this is one of the few serious dramatic roles that Leslie Nielsen did, really. On the set, he was a prankster. He had his fart machine and was, farting the place up, so farting the set up. So yeah, a lot of amusing stories about the Leslie Nielsen and his fart machine on here. What else did they talk about? They talk about the prop guy, the prop guy that created the head that gets chopped off at the prom. He's actually still got the same head. He's got the prosthetic head with him, which it looks pretty worse for wear. They talked to the composer. Just a really nice, about 40 minutes making of documentary. Pretty much everything that you could possibly want to know about the making of Prom Night is on there. Highly recommend it if you're a fan of Prom Night to check it out. We've got about 23 minutes of outtakes from the shoot of the movie. Outtakes. Lots and lots of outtakes, which was actually, they were pretty cool. We've also got an 11-minute collection of additional scenes that was shot for the TV cut, mostly just, filler stuff, to pad out the running time for the, the 2-hour, whatever TV version length, and to cut out some of the nudity and some of the more graphic parts to fill that in as well. We've got the original trailer, TV spots, radio spots. We've also got a commentary with director Paul Lynch and screenwriter William Gray, which I did not check out, but I'm sure is probably pretty good. I have to say, again, Prom Night, really good, solid slasher, murder, mystery, thriller with some police procedural stuff thrown in there. And the Blu-ray looks phenomenal. The Blu-ray looks fantastic. The movie's always had this... It's always had this very soft, sort of glowy look about the movie, and they managed to preserve that, which I'm glad that they preserved that. They didn't make that kind of darker. I wasn't sure if that was something that the filmmakers had necessarily intended, but I always kind of liked that about the movie because it kind of gave it that, dreamlike quality, which I always thought was kind of cool. And as far as those super dark sequences in the in the school toward the end of the film, I mean they've cleaned those up, they've brightened those up. You can actually tell what is going on, and it's it looks phenomenal. It sounds phenomenal. There's a lot of great extras on here. If you're a fan of Prom Night, I mean, this is the way to go. Bottom line, you can pick this Blu-ray up for, $15. It's well worth it. Go check it out. If you've not seen Prom Night, you definitely should. Like I said, it is a classic to many. I would definitely throw it in the classic category. Some may not. I would. Perhaps you will have a very deep, impactful, emotional, effect at the end of the film once the killer is revealed. But yeah, Prom Night, really solid movie, really solid Blu-ray from Synapse Films. I recommend both. So yeah, anyway, if you guys have this Blu-ray, please let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of Prom Night in the comment section below. Did the ending have a deep emotional impact on you as it has so many? Let me know in the comment section below. And again, big thanks to my buddy B Jr. for reminding me that Blu-ray existed, because I had kind of forgot. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Peace.